Okay, I've gotten some more test equipment in. What you see here is an old style Hallicrafters capacitance resistance tester. It's along the lines of the ones that old radio TV Phono Nut and B. Anderson TV use. They came in many different forms for many different makers. This one was actually a kit sold by Hallicrafters. And basically what I might use it for is testing old paper capacitors and old electrolytics. It does work, and I'll demo that in a second, but I do want to do some work on it. First of all, the line cord is very stiff and not very nice. It isn't cracking, but it isn't very nice, so I want to replace that with a new line cord. Replace some of the capacitors in it, just for good measure. I do have the full instruction manual here. Assembly instructions, so makes it easy. And I'll demo it right now for you here. Okay, it is on and warmed up. As you see, it's got the eye tube, and the eye tube seems fairly bright. It's full deflection now because I haven't turned it up. Now my capacitor under test is a 400 volt 0.25 microfarad that I took out of the power supply for the Zenith radio that I was working on, but I'm no longer working on. Power factor, this doesn't seem to do anything, but what it is, it's basically testing ESR, what's now called effective series resistance in the capacitor. And you're supposed to adjust it for maximum deflection. Well, it is already deflected. So we're going to start, we have it on mica paper leakage setting, and we're going to start turning up the voltage. And if I'm reading it right and I've got to darken the line, that's about 50 volts. So definitely very leaky, but it's testing the capacitor. And if I advance it a little bit more, it fully closes to fully, completely leaky. And just to prove that it works, I'm going to hook up, to show you how it's supposed to work, I'm going to hook up a brand new film capacitor. So I've hooked up a new capacitor. It's a brand new Panasonic 630 volt 1 microfarad film cap. Now when I advance this, it'll do this. As you adjust, it'll come together and then go apart as you raise the voltage, and it charges up. It takes a little longer on this because this is a 1 microfarad. This is a pretty stout capacitor. Now I've turned it all the way up, so it is going to take a second. Turned up to 400. Now I'm going to turn it up all the way to 500 volts. So it's actually got to charge up first, and then it comes back. Capacitor tests good, that's at 500 volts, but there's still some issues that could be taken care of by cleaning it up, replacing some parts. But there you go. Alright, I'm getting ready to replace one of the sets of capacitors. In the instructions, it's actually two 1 microfarad capacitors in parallel. They say matched. Well, these are 5% tolerance. The old ones were, I think, 10. So that's definitely better. I've replaced see if I can get down in there. The capacitors that are in the main circuit down here, mostly around the function switch, which required taking the function switch out. You have to be very careful when working around those function switches, because they're very tight inside. As for these Sprague atoms, the filter caps, I'm going to leave these in here because I do not have these values. And if you can see it, that's an 8 microfarad at 600 volts. I don't have that in stock. I don't have this one in stock, which is a 20 microfarad at 350. I don't have this one, which is a 4.7 microfarad at 250. I don't have those, so I'm going to leave those in there for the moment. When we change out the paper caps and see how that ends up going. Alright, the HC-1 is done. There's a couple things I didn't do to it, like I mentioned. I already decided I'm not going to replace the electrolytics at this time. They seem fine, and their values I just don't have and would have to order. But all of the paper caps that were in it have been changed. I also decided I'm going to keep the power cord because actually after letting it warm up and working it a little bit, it loosened up enough that it's fine. It's not all stiff anymore. Also fixed for the control here. It was just this knob and pointer was actually getting stuck and hung up. But here's one of the special matched capacitors that was in the power factor circuit. As you can see, it is a Cornell Double 1 microfarad 400 volt. I have it set to test on 0 volts right now. Okay, so yeah, it never fully reopens, and it's at about the working voltage of about 400 volts. But this is the other cap that was in that special parallel watt, and it's very leaky at 250 volts. So, and there's actually, it's got something leaking out of it. So, yeah, glad I changed that. These other two, the two little ones that actually have weeds on them that are long enough to test, I actually did test them. They actually test okay. But in this case, it was easy preventative measure, and I might put them on eBay for the guitar people. And now I'll demonstrate the capacitance, testing function. It's actually checked its measured capacitance. That is a 220 microfarad capacitor, brand new. I have it on the range for 50 microfarad to 5K. And as I bring it close to the range. You'll see the eye opening and closing. Now, I get it. It's reading about 160 or 175, so it's a little off, but I'm really not going to use it for that much. That's what I've got this one for, the BK Precision. But not that that's really something I'm going to do on a lot of capacitors to test their actual value. I may though, but actually, yeah, let me try something. I didn't adjust the power factor, so let's see. Yeah. If the power factor set at 20, that's still a little low, but I'm going to call this a wrap, and I guess I'll call it a Sunday restoration.